What happens at Grandma's stays at Grandma's is a model for you and your grandkids. If it's fun, it's fair game. But lately, hip pain has you grimacing more than laughing. And that's a moment you realize life's too short to put off treatment any longer.
The Joint and Spine Center is Cincinnati's leading destination for orthopedic care, with hundreds of joint replacements each year. So when a moment has the power to change the rest of your life, go to the one place with the power to change it for the better. The Christ Hospital Health Network. This changes everything.
The Pound This Podcast is brought to you by the Christ Hospital Health Network. This is the Pound This Podcast, episode 594, Shay's Weight Loss Journey Weekly Updates.
I want to lose weight, but I don't know how to get started. What should I meal prep every week?
How do I get those sweet booty gains?
Inspiration for your healthy lifestyle. The Pound This Podcast with Amanda Valentine.
Thank you so much for listening to the Pound This Podcast. I'm Amanda Valentine. Shay is back. What's up?
Hey, girl.
Well, we missed a week because you were out last week, so we got 2 weeks to catch up on here now.
I know, it's going to be a long-ass podcast.
How you been doing?
I've been doing okay, so I'm hanging in.
Yeah. Well, it's been a stressful couple weeks. I mean, we don't have to get into politics, but with the election alone, I saw a lot of people just openly talking on social media about stress eating. No matter how you wanted the election to turn out, of just being drug out and just everything with that alone. I think a lot of people were eating a lot of carbs, eating a lot of fried food, eating a lot of Halloween candy. So I feel like it was a stressful couple weeks for everyone to some degree of just stress eating. So
I successfully stayed away from the Halloween candy, so
nice. That
was cool.
I have too, even though Mike bought a bunch of it on discount, but he keeps it hidden away from me because I'm like, I'm not particularly drawn to Three Musketeers, but if it's sitting there, then I'll want to eat it. And I'm like, get it out of here. I don't want to see it. I
know.
Giant bags of Halloween candy.
I know. Yeah, I'm hoping that possibly because of COVID, less people will bring in like baked goods and stuff into the salon for Christmas, because that's always a really hard time of year.
Well, I mean, as far as Ohio's going, you may not even be open.
I know, girl.
Yeah, I mean, at the time of recording this, at least in Ohio, it was warned that things might be closing down again. They didn't say salons, though, did they? Didn't they just say, like, restaurants and gyms?
Yeah.
Bars? So, yeah, I mean, it depends on, just with, going from the election to COVID, from one party subject to another.
Woo!
Yeah, 2020.
Oh yeah. Liddy.
That I would guess, I could be wrong, and I usually am, that it feels like if, with cases spiking, which is what is happening all over the country, but I mean, talking here, both of us are in Ohio, that it feels like maybe that people would be more deterred from bringing in the Christmas cookies. And I know we've talked about this before. But that also on the flip side of that, it could just be like, we need to comfort eat. This year sucks. Like, this at least makes it feel somewhat normal. Please eat some cookies that I stress baked all weekend.
I don't want to eat your cookies.
No, I do. I want to eat them, but I don't.
My problem is I can't just have one. I'm going to eat the whole tray.
I know. I did see all the Christmas candy and all that stuff is out at the store. And I was just telling you before we started recording that I had to go to a different Kroger. So, sorry, this is Cincinnati centric here for a second if you're not in Cincinnati. That I live on the west side, and so I usually go to my Kroger, which is not fancy. And I had to go to the Oakley Kroger, which is fancy. And man, all the Christmas stuff they got there, like all the fresh wreaths and the little, whatever, I don't even know what they are, like wreath balls and all of these huge, fresh Christmas arrangements. I'm like, oh my goodness, that's like I'm walking into a Hallmark movie in here.
I know. That's where I shop, and that's why I spend way too much money.
Yeah, because I was tempted to buy that stuff, and I'm like, okay, let's get through Thanksgiving first before I go pedal to the metal on Christmas, which Christmas typically is the only holiday I'll decorate for. I did for Halloween this year, and I just feel like it is because of like COVID and being stuck at home of like, I want to cheer myself up by hanging up skeletons. And so, and just having more time. Like, I think this was, I can't remember if I mentioned this on the podcast or not. Like the past 2 years, we bought pumpkins with the intention of carving them. And I was so freaking busy. We never did it. So to actually be intentional of doing that this year. And same thing with this year, like 2 or 3 years ago, I got on like clearance at Walmart after Christmas, all of these outdoor decorations to put like on my porch. Like it's wreaths and all this stuff that's like lit up that you put around your front door, like a whole like porch set. And I never put it up because I never had time. So I'm like, oh, this year it's going all super Christmassy. So I'm trying to, I'm in a little mini, first world problem war with myself of like, should I just start doing it now? Or do I wait till after Thanksgiving?
Please don't.
Don't do it now?
Oh, I'm so triggered. I'm so triggered by everyone that has their Christmas trees up already.
Why? We need cheer.
It was just 80 degrees the other day.
That's true, but there was frost this morning.
I got my fall decor. That gives me cheer.
That's true. So I didn't do it.
The real problem is I got to carry everything up from the basement up to my second floor apartment. So it's
that's
a lot.
Just exercise. And speaking of that too, speaking of fall stuff, because we had a thunderstorm the other night, and our neighbor has this gigantic, obnoxious, I mean, it's beautiful, like 100-year-old oak tree, but it is not good for my gutters or my yard. And like there's just so many acorns and leaves that I'm like, I'm probably going to tomorrow spend the day raking because I'm like, that sounds like good exercise.
It is.
I mean, that is burning some calories. I mean, even though it's kind of crappy on your lower back, but that's actually a fall plan that I have because it's supposed to rain all weekend. And so I'm like, that sounds like good functional fitness to me.
Yes.
Rather than go inside a gym of just spend the afternoon raking my yard. So that's going to be my out of the box fitness for the week. So, because I don't know if this makes us trashy neighbors or not. I mean, I'm sure we are to some degree with no matter what, but it's like, so our point is with this massive tree that hangs over our yard, and there's one in the backyard too, of what's the point of raking until all of the leaves are off of it? Like, I'm not going to rake every single weekend when this thing keeps dumping leaves down. Like, we wait till it's all gone and then we rake, but then we're like the yard that you can't see grass in for like a month. But whatever. Nobody's complained to the city yet.
Having been to your house, I feel like your neighbors probably don't care.
No, I don't think they do. The street that I live on where people deal drugs and, shoot up too much and pass out in front of my house.
I mean, that's not where I was going with it, but if you want to take it there, they probably don't care about your leaves.
Facts are facts. I mean, it happens. West side, best side.
Except for your Kroger.
Oh, yeah. I mean, my Kroger's not too bad. It's just not fancy. Even though they renovated it, it's not a fancy grocery store. We don't have an extensive sushi section like the other fancy Krogers do.
I would never get sushi from Kroger.
Really? It's legit, dude. I think it's good. Yeah, man.
I'm like, I want to watch you make it in front of me so I know it's not like 3 days old.
No, they did. I mean, I saw people there making it yesterday. I think it's good. I don't know. That's just me. But I've put a lot of weird stuff in my mouth.
Yeah, you have. No one's surprised by that.
You're right. Anywho, so how else you've been we've seen each other at Pilates, and then still going to Josh. And then since it has been 80 degrees, you've been going out for walks and doing all that.
Yes, I have been walking a lot. So, and even though it's cooled off now, I love the fall weather. So, it's been nice to be outside. It just feels good for my mental health too, which I need right now.
Yeah. Yeah, the walks do help with that. I've been doing kind of like sunset walks, and because I'm just trying to pull myself out of this depression funk that I'm in. And so I've been really trying to make a more of an effort, whether I feel like it or not, to try to get 10,000 steps in a day, instead of some days really fighting with myself to get out of pajamas. So I really like the nice fall sunset walks. And I've seen a ton of people out walking at that time. So I kind of feel like we're all in this kind of like mental health sort of thing of like, let's just turn off the TV and the news for a second, and let's just go for a walk before it gets painfully cold or snowy or crappy outside. So it is really nice.
Yeah, I love it. Even in the winter, I don't mind to go out and walk.
Yeah, I've done that too. I mean, I have vacationed in Minnesota in January, so I don't really mind that too much either. And I know that, we saw each other at Pilates. And so, how are you still feeling about that? I mean, this is your, I forgot you even said it yesterday, like maybe like fifth time?
Yeah,
I'm
pretty sure it was my fourth class. I love it. So it's just nice to have a new type of physical activity that's different from what I'm used to doing. And I'm really sore after I do it.
Yeah, it's one of those things of, I was just having a discussion about this yesterday, that it's like in the moment, like it's moments of it are tough, but it's never like a boot camp class. And so you don't think you're going to be like sore like you would be if you went and crushed a boot camp class until the next day. And you're like, oh, dang, especially like in your abs, which I know my core, I have a lot of issues with core. My core doesn't fire at all. And so that's been really helpful. And I will say, because I started training with Josh again at Cincy 360, which is across the street from Shalates. And because me and Josh haven't really worked together this year so much because of me having sciatica and having so many problems. And he is a big supporter of me going to do Pilates to kind of get my body in the right place. And we just did kind of last week some things to just see where my body was. And this was bonkers to me. So he had me lay flat on my back, like completely like a T sort of, and then just try to roll over using my upper body. Like I couldn't use my lower body on both sides, and then flip over on my stomach, do the same thing. My arms are dead. I can't use them, and just try to roll using only like my lower body. And on the side where I had my pinched nerve almost all year, I couldn't even like lift my leg, like just laying flat on my stomach. Like I couldn't even lift my left leg to try to pull it over to roll over. And I'm like, and it's like, it's the weirdest feeling. Cause I'm like, my brain is telling me to do it and I just can't. And I'm like, what the hell? And he's like, yeah, that's a problem. And so in order for me to be able to lift my leg and roll over, he had to put like if you took a foam roller and cut it in half. So it's kind of like a half, like, a circle, whatever. He put that under my left side to kind of give me the motion so I could finally like lift my leg just to pull it and pull my body to roll. And he is like, for me, that tells me that around your spine there, your muscles aren't communicating with your brain. Like they went through some trauma. So and I'm sure I'm saying this wrong. If Josh listens to this, he'll be like, you didn't say it the right way. That it's, but basically they're not talking to each other. They shut off because of trauma. And things like, I feel like Pilates is so helpful because, I mean, obviously if I can't even just roll over, I'm not going to go do some deadlifts or even squats or any of this stuff or put anything, even body weight on it, because I'm walking around and it doesn't feel like it's incorrect like that. But when you try to do these things, it is. So I think it's so helpful for Pilates when you're on the reformer, putting my legs in the straps and stuff like that, and actually getting these muscles to turn on without doing these forceful, putting all this weight and pressure onto it, like if I were doing a squat or a deadlift or something else. So, for me, just as a person working through injuries, I'm so glad that it exists so I can figure this out, because I don't know. That's eye opening when you can't even roll over. I'm like, damn, I am busted.
Yeah, you are. Right. Like babies roll over.
Yeah. And that's what, Josh was saying is like, we're going to have to get you. So I'm kind of like working in 3 phases here. One, I'm going to Pilates and working with Shelly and doing Pilates. And then I'm doing the walking and some cardio on my own. And also I'm doing some like upper body lifting on my own, doing some weight stuff because I'm not going to play with my lower body right now. And that's where Josh is coming in and he's kind of helping me. He's just like, yeah, we need to get you to just like baby functions of things that like, which when I first started working out with him of just crawling, like in a certain way, like you don't realize how hard that is too, or at least it is for me, of like my body won't even get into these like just basic infant functions because you have so much dysfunction in the body. And so it's like, if I have that much dysfunction, going to the gym or going to a boot camp class and crushing it and just, it's not going to do me any favors, which is also probably one of the reasons why I hurt myself. Like when I pinched that nerve, it was after I went to the gym by myself, not with Josh. And I decided, I'm like, these are all the things that I want to do. Go hard or go home, bitch. And then, and then I hurt myself. So, it's forever a journey, man. And so it's just crazy of just how, where your brain thinks what your exercise should be versus what in reality you should be. And then versus what you just see online where you can, see online videos or social media or whatever. And people are performing these functions and you just think that automatically your body should be able to do it too. And that's not true.
Right. Yeah. That's why I think it's so important to have a trainer because just because someone else can do it doesn't mean it's necessarily good for your body.
Yeah. And it's just good to have somebody, like, I don't even realize what I'm doing half the time. Like, I don't. Oh, yeah. Another woman that was in a Pilates class I was in, I don't think you were in it. This was several weeks ago at Pilates. I was saying I struggle really hard with some of the things in Pilates because I have to think too much. Like there's compound movements and it's like, it just shuts me down. Like, it's like move this way. Like it's like 3 things in a row, like a chain of doing things. And I just like can't do it for some reason. And it makes me so frustrated and I get so mad at myself and I feel stupid. And it's just kind of like, I just lose it. And I was describing that after class. And one of the other women was like, yeah, she's like, a lot of women like us that have had struggles with weight and things like that tend to just don't have a good mind-body connection where we're not, our brain and our body aren't firing together. So you just want to come work out to turn your brain off and just power through stuff. And you're not really thinking it through. And she's like, that's the great thing about Pilates is it's like you're retraining yourself to get your body to work with your mind. And I'm like, yeah, but oh my God, I feel like that's the hardest part of Pilates for me is just trying to get my brain in line because that is how I view fitness is like go in, turn my brain off. Let me just go run a mile or let me just go lift these heavy weights. And I'm not really thinking about it as much as I am of just like listening to my jam and playlist and crushing it out and getting a sweat on and leaving. So even though intellectually I know better than that, it's just kind of like that's just the baseline I go to. I don't know. Do you feel that too?
No, I still feel like it shuts my thoughts off because then the only thing that I can think about is like the 3 movements I'm trying to do. So it still helps me to like anything that I would be thinking of, about what's going on in my life or about my day. I can't think about because I have to focus so much on what I'm doing. So to an extent, I still feel like I get that kind of like experience of like shutting down life outside for a minute. But it definitely is tricky. Like I'm not used to having to focus that much while I'm working out.
Yeah. I feel like I definitely do shut out the outside world too. That is nice because I feel like if I'm just going to like a box gym or something, if you're going to like a Planet Fitness or a Crunch or something, then it's easy to just still be thinking about, oh, what else do I have to do today? How long can I be here for? And your just mind is all over the place. But yeah, you're right. Like doing Pilates, it's like, okay, you do this movement, do these things. Even though I'm really good at crushing body parts. Like I crushed my thumb yesterday. I crushed my toe a couple days ago. I'm like, oh my God, like, why do I do that? I think it's just because when we're moving around, my brain will automatically, I don't know, I'm sure it's the ADHD in me that wants to float somewhere else. And then I'm not super focused. And then I hurt myself. And then I'm like, yeah, you're in here. You're in this moment. I have a hard time of just kind of trying to constantly only be in the present moment. I'm trying to work on that in meditation. It's a work in progress.
Yeah, that's good. I wish that I would make myself meditate. I've never like gotten into a routine with that.
I didn't. The only thing I'm doing now is what I find helpful is the guided meditations. So, one, there's a lot on YouTube. Also, the Healthy Minds app is free. So I know like Calm and stuff like that, and I think they offer some free stuff. But Healthy Minds, which a podcast guest. Oh, why am I blanking on her name right now? Oh, I feel so bad. I'm blanking on her name. But she's awesome, and she's one of the people that's helped create it, and that is really, really good too. I just need the guided stuff. And before I thought like, oh, you're just supposed to sit here and be quiet in your own thoughts, and I can't get my brain to quiet. So then I wouldn't do it. And I'm like, well, if going through a guided meditation is the training wheels to doing that, then I need to do that. So I feel like finding ones that I like and finding shorter ones of like, you can find YouTube ones that are like an hour long. And I'm like, I can't do that. But
no,
finding like 10, 20-minute ones if I have the time to be like, I could spend 10 minutes scrolling on TikTok or take 10 minutes, which I don't know if you saw when you've been to my house, like at my staircase, there's like a piece of yarn tied around it, which isn't for the cats. I tie it across the stairs. So if I'm meditating, that Mike doesn't come upstairs, that he knows it's what I'm doing. Like, don't interrupt me. I'm upstairs and I'm listening to this guided meditation. That's all I'm focusing on right now. And then that's it. And when it's guided like that, that's when that's the only thing I am focusing on because somebody's talking me through it. So for me, that's been really helpful. I've been doing that on a daily basis since like August or so, which has been good. So some days it's more helpful than others, but it's not a cure-all for everything. But maybe that would be more helpful if that's something you want to get into.
Yeah, the guided ones definitely are easy. I've done a couple of those before. I do a lot of like for my anxiety, I'll do like breathing exercises. Those help me a lot.
Yeah, I see. I need to get better at that. I suck at the breathing exercises and I know they're good for me and I just don't. That's also a thing that Josh I could see him. Somewhere he knows this conversation is happening. Maybe talking about me not doing breathing exercises, and he's rolling his eyes wherever he's at in the world right now. He can just feel that he's mad at me.
God, poor guy. He's like, Amanda, she's gonna make me crazy.
You gotta do tummy vacuums. I'm like, I know.
Damn tummy vacuums. Jesus.
Yeah, well, we were already talking about how we're going to get him in to do Pilates with us as our Christmas gift. So to ourselves.
To ourselves. Yes. It's been such a bad year. Let's bring some joy.
Yeah, get Josh on a reformer so we can.
Yeah, get them legs in a strap.
Which I meant to talk to him about whenever, because we had an episode that we recorded last week that came out this week, and I fully meant to go there and ask him about it, and then I forgot.
Like if he listened to it?
No, to tell him that he needed to come do that.
Okay.
But I forgot. There's still time. We still got like a month and a couple weeks to Christmas.
Yeah, we do. Mm-hmm. And we can just spring it on him.
You would just like show up and be like, you need an hour off. You're coming across the street. You doing this?
We can kidnap him. We'll blindfold him.
Oh my God. Well, let's not go to jail.
Well,
I don't know. Maybe he'd like it.
Who knows with him?
Oh my God. Well, that conversation took a turn.
Poor Josh.
Oh my God. So what do you got plans? Do you have any obstacles, anything coming forward? I mean, are you, I know that you're, we've all been kind of struggling. You've been struggling, but is it still just try to like keep on with the exercise, with a routine, stay on it with your food, all that stuff? Are you, staying off the scale like your goal was, except for once a week?
Yeah, the scale's been tricky again. So I got to get my act back together with that. I've just been struggling because I feel like I had all these goals for this year that kind of just went out the window. Because I just kind of went into survival mode. So I'm trying to figure out how to like appropriately set new goals without like making my life harder or like affecting my mental state. So yeah, I feel like I'm trying to put new goals in place so that I like continue to move forward, because I feel like this whole year has almost been on pause at this point.
Yeah, but I will say that you have done an awesome job. I mean, as far as I know that you've struggled a lot this year, but I know that me and you have a lot of similarities with our own weight loss journey and stuff like that, to not slide completely backwards. And I know that like the fear of like gaining all your weight back and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. I mean, you're still down around 90 pounds, right? Like that's freaking awesome in a very, mentally taxing year, where I know that I've struggled a lot with sliding back to, disordered stuff because it feels comfortable. And I feel like that the fact that you've kind of, even though you've dealt with a lot of hard crap this year, that you've still kind of had a steady hand through it that's a huge goal. It's like such a huge win to, focus on that instead of beating yourself up over, I don't even know what your goals are. I don't know, do an unassisted pull-up or something. I don't know what your goals are.
Girl, that is never going to be a goal. That will never happen.
That used to be a goal of mine, but yeah, I don't know if that's going to happen or not, but whatever. But yeah, I just think that, I think that you have a lot to celebrate versus, being mad at yourself for not hitting whatever goals we had, like New Year's goals of 2020 is our year. I mean, I think you're going to not find many people that have really crushed those goals, and that's totally fine. And I'm sure we've all accomplished a lot of other things in different ways that we wouldn't have expected. There's a lot of wins, I feel like, out of this year, out of this much of a total like turd tornado this year has been, that there's been a lot of positives.
Yeah, no, I do agree. And that's what I'm having to do right now, is focus on that stuff. So
yeah, well, I think you're doing good.
Thanks, girl.
Heck yeah. So I guess, I know that we'll definitely be doing Pilates together again next week. And other than that, then just try to let's stay positive, and hopefully things go well for you over the next 7 days.
Hopefully.
Yeah, man. All right. Well, I guess I'll talk to you next week.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
For info on health coaching and more, go to AmandaValentineBites.com.